Welcome to the Week 6 Pickems for the VDL Shaymin division. I have Joe Mama joining me again this week. Want to say hi?
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Had a blast last time. Figured why not do it again. So, a couple things as we get into this. Week 6 is the final week for transactions. So, if you have not put your transactions in already, I recommend doing that now because you won't get another chance. One more thing. I'm hosting a speed draft tournament this Saturday, March 2nd. $25 Amazon gift card is the prize for the winner. Signups are in the announcements tab in the Discord, so be sure to check that out. All right, ready to hop into this?
Yep, let's go.
All right, I did not prep at all, didn't take any notes, so we're just gonna wing this.
Yeah, I really didn't either, so I'm down. Let's go.
All right, so we have Shadow Knight versus Wolf. Shadow Knight's Terras are Miss Magius with Ghost, Electric, and Stellar, and Bastiodon with Rock, Flying, and Fighting. And then Wolf has Oricorio with Flying, Ice, and Fairy, and Blastoise with Water, Ice, and Dark.
Awesome. Yeah, just looking at the two teams, obviously, you're looking at the top part of their teams, Valiant and Gouging Fire, and Valiant is very scary. I think a few of the things I saw is Under Sun, Hisui, and Lilligant can outspeed and can do some massive damage to Valiant, but assuming Valiant has, I believe, 0 defensive investment, it's still not a guaranteed kill with the classic Life Orb Solar Blade. But if you get like a Victory Dance up or something, maybe it's possible. But once again, I think that's like one of the only really surefire outs without losing something to that Pokemon.
Yeah, Wolf's team does not handle Lilligant like defensively at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Revavroom maybe can take like one close combat, but like if Shadow can get any sort of chip damage out on Wolf's team, it's going to have a rough time because, as you said, nothing's able to outspeed it. You'd have to get 2 Trailblazes off with Ogerpon, which, granted, Ogerpon in the sun does look like a demon. It's just a little slow, that's all, at least comparatively to, the Chlorophyll Pokemon that Shadow has. So if Wolf can maybe get rid of that Torkoal early game, maybe trap it or something like that, it would work out pretty well because without Sun, Lilligant isn't really that good this week because Valiant will outspeed it and just destroy it with a Moonblast.
I agree, and I think because, like you said, because Hisui and Lilligant is so potent, I feel like you can kind of expect him to, he's guaranteed to run Torkoal and Hisui and Lilligant, in my opinion. So Wolf can prep for that in whatever way he sees fit. I think another big thing here is, I'm going to say is every week, because I think it's so good. Every week, someone has a Grimmsnarl or Miss Magius, and they're facing any semblance of, defensive Pokemon like the Dunsparce or Palisand. I think like Trick is something you can consider. Umbreon as well. Yeah, I just like that move, but I do think, especially with Prankster being a thing, it can be very helpful. And I guess in a pinch as well, you could Prankster like something to like the Iron Valiant, maybe like an Iron Ball or something. I don't know if that's a thing that you would consider, but I can see it.
Even Taunt to stop like the Palisand or the Umbreon is also really good. Yeah. Oh, gotta keep in mind, Umbreon's actually unaffected by Prankster.
Oh yeah, because he's a Dark type. Yep. Good call. This is what we get when we don't prepare, but yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, Ogerpon, though, like, in the sun, like I was saying, it doesn't look too bad. If it gets 2 Trailblazes up, nothing really wants to switch in besides maybe Gouging Fire, which, if it's defensive, it can. Another option...
Does he have coverage?
What, to hit Gouging Fire?
Yeah, is he like Earthquake or something?
It's like don't really... Stomping Tantrum, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So that's an option.
Okay, yeah.
Something else Wolf can do to maybe, stop the Lilligant is just setting his own weather, whether it's, like Rain Dance from Torkoal, or I don't know if Palisand gets like Sandstorm or something like that.
Yeah, maybe Blastoise or something.
Yeah, those are the only, like that or trapping is the only way that I see him really having the best chance in this matchup. Obviously, if Shadow waits too long to get Torkoal out and set the sun and stuff, that could give Wolf an opportunity, but if that Lilligant comes out in the sun, it's going to do some damage. I feel like we've hyped up this Lilligant all season, and like it just every week something happens. Like that one week it missed triple axle, that was horrible.
Yeah.
So one of these weeks it's going to put in work, I promise.
If we keep hyping it up, at some point, right, it's going to do something, and we're going to be like, see, told you so.
To answer your question earlier about what Pokemon I would love to use in draft, I would love to use Hisui and Lilligant. I think I might look into drafting that next season.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I definitely think it's one of like it's because you do kind of really want it in Sun. It's not mandatory because you do have, Victory Dance, like speeding it up, but it's definitely nice having it in Sun. But yeah, I think if you have, the right tools to support it, definitely seems like a threatening Pokemon. For me, it's like I put in the Discord, I just want to annoy people, maybe get like a Terra Poison Wo-Chien or something, just to mess with folks.
Dude, even like you can run Sleep Powder, I assume it gets Leech Seed. Lilligant,
it does get Leech Seed. Yeah, it does.
Who do you think is going to win this week, though? I want to say Shadow has this one this week. That Lilligant, just on Wolf's side, defensively just has really no checks. And so if he can, keep the Torkoal alive, then I think it's going to work out. Next up, we have Kyle versus Aryan. Kyle's Terras are Colossal with Rock, Water, Fairy, and Sceptile with Grass, Flying, and Fire. And then Aryan has his Noivern with Flying, Dragon, Normal, and Electivire with Electric, Flying, and Ice. Both these coaches are coming off of wins from last week. Kyle got a nice sweep with his Sceptile, and if I'm being honest, I didn't watch Aryan's battle. So this is going to be an interesting matchup this week. Kyle has Bundle, which is super fast into Aryan's team. And I mean, same with Sceptile. If it gets an Unburden boost, I don't think that looks horrible this week. Especially after last week, it put in a ton of work.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, I've said this last time we talked about Kyle's team, but just having, an Unburden Mon and Sceptile, and then obviously Bundle and Moth, two of the best Quirk Drive abusers, I guess. He has a very scary electric terrain team, but I will say, Aryan's Cryogon does have access to Ice Spinner, which can kind of thwart those plans, I guess, a little bit. And we've been talking about this Pokemon before, but the horse. He has the horse, man. And that Pokemon's crazy.
Yeah, it's a problem. And another thing that I don't want to overlook at all is the Knackle stack. That thing
Agreed.
is 6-1 currently, and it's not even a Terra Captain, which is just absolutely crazy. Because I was gonna say Kyle's Corviknight looks very good this week defensively, and if he runs a Covert Cloak, I mean that's really the best item I think he has to run because of the Knackle stack this week. Because otherwise, it's gonna take that 25% each turn.
Yeah. No, completely. That's so insane to me. I've been in leagues where Knackle has been like a 3, even 4-point Pokemon, and it's still put in work. Petition to change it to a 3-point Pokemon next season, confirmed.
Oh, absolutely. It's 2 points was atrocious. We should have never let that happen.
Yes. But anyways, I do agree. I do like Knackle here, with obviously Salt Cure being the move that it is. And even if Aryan doesn't want to run it, like you said, I think I think it's a mistake not to run Covert Cloak on Corviknight just because it's like a possibility, Yeah,
it puts pressure on it just in the team builder, which is really nice. Now, something
agreed.
Kyle also needs to be careful of is bringing electric terrain. You don't want to boost that Electivire, and because Corviknight already isn't a huge fan of Electivire. It can probably take a Wild Charge or a Thunderbolt or whatever the hell it wants to go for. It could probably take a few. But if it gets that electric terrain boost, it's going to be doing some good damage. It's something he's got to watch out for. But overall, I'm not seeing like one huge weakness over like either team. Like I think Spectrier is a little bit of a threat for Kyle. I don't think he has the best switch-ins to it. But like outside of that, neither side has just a huge like weakness, like a glaring weakness that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I agree. Just a reminder to Kyle, because I have both Iron Moth in this league and I have Kirim in another league. It can learn Earth Power. So that's really bad if you have Iron Moth on the field, because that thing's dead if it gets hit. So maybe Air Balloon might be a thing that could be run. I don't know the calcs on Shuka, but I assume it probably won't save Iron Moth from an Earth Power. So yeah, just another thing to worry about. I actually do think Kirim is okay here. Obviously, Bundle can outspeed, and Garchomp can do some stuff as well. But I think I don't know. I would just be weary of it.
Who do you think's gonna win this one? Because, like, as I said, I'm really just staring at this, and I don't see just one clear, like, winner. Nothing stands out to me.
I feel a little bad about this, but I'm just going off form right now. And I think because Aryan's kind of got a lot of wins under his belt, I'm kind of backing him a little bit. But like you said, I not to discredit Kyle's team or anything. I think he has a very winnable matchup here. I just think because it's so close to being even, I think Aryan takes it.
I have to agree with you, and another reason that I think Aryan has such a good chance in this matchup is just a very noticeable lack of a good Spectrier answer. Something like Assault Vest. Assault Vest Samurai is not horrible or anything like that, but it's just not the best answer that is out there for a Spectrier. And if one boost comes in, one Grimnay, and it just kind of snowballs at that point. I think the only good chance Kyle has to beat it is just outpacing it with something like, whether it's Sneasler, or sorry, not Sneasler, Sceptile, Jesus Christ.
You're thinking of my team there, Vortex.
or Iron Bundle. So I'm gonna have to say Aryan probably is gonna come out on top this week.
Yep, completely agree.
Next up, we have Flupke vs Playz for days. Flupke's Terras are Regidraco with Dragon Steel Fairy, and Chestnut with Grass Steel and Ghost. And then Playz has Kilowattrel with Flying Water Ground, and Sandaconda with Ground, Fire, and Fairy. Flupke is still undefeated currently, so do you think Playz is going to be able to stop that finally this week?
How you felt about this last one, I feel about this one. I'm looking at teams, I'm like, I can see some good answers on both teams for both mons. I personally actually think I'm leaning towards Fluke. Yeah, it's really close. I don't know. I think I'm almost certain that even a choice band bullet punch from Scizor doesn't one shot Chien-Pao. It might.
It absolutely does. But Chien-Pao does get, Sucker Punch, Ice Shard, so it does have priority of its own. That's not something that Playz has to,
It definitely does. Yeah, you're right. It really does.
Yeah, and also a Cell Rock from Lycanroc. But like I said, at the same time, Chien-Pao is still faster. If it uses its own priority, it will still go first. So,
for sure.
And overall, Playz has a decent ice weakness on his team. So, Chien-Pao is decently scary, even with the few priority options. I think Annihilate and Deanty are probably two of the better answers to it here.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also am thinking, when I'm looking at the team, that kind of like what you said, I do think Scizor, it would be beneficial to run. It's not required, but if you run a choice band set for the immediate damage, there is ways, you can switch into a Pokemon that's not weak to it. You can bring out Thunderous T, which obviously you'll still take a bunch of damage, but maybe you can set up a Nasty Plot or something. I believe it can learn them. If I know Tornadus can.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah. So, there are drawbacks, right, to to this stuff. So for sure.
Flupke has a pretty big rock weakness too, which if something like a choice band Lycanroc comes, that could be very threatening, or even a Swords Dance set, even a Focus Sash, just lead set. It puts on a lot of pressure with the combination of rock moves plus close combat to hit the treads.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think um, that coverage there is very important because obviously, you know, Treads obviously um, is his main spinner, I think. Yeah, it is. It's definitely going to be kind of like his main way to get rid of hazards. And because Chien Pao, as fast as it is, isn't super like it's reasonably frail. You don't really want chip on that Pokemon.
Yo, absolutely not. Which he might even be locked into running heavy duty boots because
Yeah,
Playz has quite a lot of different Pokemon with hazards. You know, 4 different Stealth Rockers, I believe.
yeah,
Uh,
DNC.
yeah,
Um,
DNC Sandaconda, like and
Even
Rocket Annihilate.
Annihilate can run it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you should. Yeah, yeah. I'm not. By no means am I saying you should do it, but it's just like another thing you can do. Obviously, Lycan Rock.
I think this is gonna be the week that Flupke is no longer undefeated. I think that Playz is gonna take him down. I do. Even though Chen Pao is pretty threatening, overall I think Playz' team just threatens a lot more and lacks the defensive switch-ins that he needs to take some of these Pokemon.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. You know what? Just to be a contrarian, I think Fluky will remain undefeated. I just can see Chien Pao just, everyone has a plan until they get ice sharded in the face, right? And then one thing goes down, and then Chien Pao runs away with the game. I think if he plays his cards right, he can he can neutralize the threats for Chien Pao and have it sweep. That's my call right there.
All right, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
We'll see for sure. It'll be close for sure.
Next up, we have Toob versus Legend Lamarcus. Toob Terras are Hisuian Electrode with Electric Ice Flying, and Houndstone with Ghost Rock and Fairy. And then Legend has Articuno with Flying Steel Fighting, and Quagsire with Ground, Poison, and Fairy.
Okay, let's check this out. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the mons on Toob team, and I think once again Cinderace sticks out for me just because of kind of like the unpredictability behind that Pokemon with the use of Libero. It can run a bunch of different coverage moves, and I think that should be something that can be looked at for sure when building against it for Lamarcus.
I'm noticing how fast Toob's team is comparatively.
Yeah, for sure.
Two separate Pokemon, outspeed the entire team. And in all honesty, I don't think that Zamazenta looks like that bad here. I've never been the biggest fan of Zamazenta. I think it's one of like the worst high tier Pokemon, and it's really only carried by its base stats. But I think this week it's going to do quite well. It stops Weavile just pretty much completely. You run Crunch. I think it gets Crunch for Articuno and Latios.
And Latios.
Yeah, and I mean, just overall, I think it does really well with its dual stabs and stuff. So I can see that putting in a good amount of work here. Heatran from Legend side is also looking like quite decent here. If he can, maybe it runs Shuka or Air Balloon or something like that, because there are a lot of ground moves that threaten it, but offensively it looks quite decent here.
Yeah, it looks really strong against Zamazenta Crowned. I'm not sure how much it does because I'm running the calcs, but maybe thinking of like maybe an eruption like choice scarf set. Maybe I don't know how much it would do, right? But just for that immediate damage, they'd be pretty good. Kind of like you said, you could also run, a air balloon set to just protect it from those ground type attacks and then threaten back with its own attacks. Whether it's magma storm, flamethrower, flash cannon. Honestly, if you're doing against like T-Tar and stuff. So yeah, I can see that being a very key member of Lamarcus's team this week.
Tell me why.
I like having the. Oh, go ahead.
Tell me why Houndstone in the sand looks like a threat with Sand Rush.
Forgot about that. I forgot it had Sand Rush. Yeah.
With body press, body press the Weavile, and then just ghost move. It actually looks somewhat threatening here.
Yeah, that definitely does look like the way to go as well, because a lot of Lamarcus's team is special attackers, so you're not really going to be wanting to use Fluffy, and then it just sets you up for some Heatran damage, right? Um, so yeah, I can see it. I can see it as kind of like a low tier like sleeper pick, right?
I know it's put in work in the past too. It's also a Terra captain, so it's got that
Yeah,
going
yeah,
for it too.
yeah, exactly. You got some good options there for sure.
Because even
Um,
like Terra Ghost would just hit like a truck with Poltergeist. I think it's Poltergeist.
yeah, for sure. I think another good Pokemon on Lamarcus's team uh is I feel like he could make good work out make doing like a defensive Rotom set. Um, maybe give it Will-O-Wisp and stuff. Because that will, do good stuff for Tyranitar, Zamazenta, um, Swampert, so I can just see that.
Absolutely. Rotom looks somewhat difficult for Tube Bloober to break through. I mean, besides like Electrode, he doesn't have the best like super effective coverage for it, like at all. I guess
Yeah, I
Vileplume,
completely agree.
but I don't think Vileplume looks good this week at all.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so slow, and I feel like it's just so it's slow and frail, right? So it's like you really need to like pick and choose when you're bringing it in. And I agree. I don't think this week is the time to do so. Um, but yeah, a defensive Rotom set would be really good here. I think you can do like the very annoying like pain split, Will-O-Wisp, +2 whatever he decides to bring against his team. But yeah, I think it's pretty good here. I'm looking at some of the other threats. I think kind of just coincide with that. I mean, like Wisp Pashing with Florges could be decent just to heal up some of your main attackers. Um, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Vortex?
Oh man, I'm really not sure. I don't think like there's a clear winner for this one either, but I want to give like the slight advantage to Two Bloomer. I think this week.
Fair. Yeah, this one. Yeah, I tend to agree. I guess also because Florges is mainly a special defense tank. It's not really a lot of his main threats are physical. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna give the slight edge to Tube Bloober as well. I guess before I look, let me look at the kind of like the form these two players are in. Um,
Yeah, it's a very slight advantage that I'm giving to Tube.
yeah,
Like
I agree.
I
Yeah,
don't not one has like a clear like good advantage. I think Weavile can be a threat for Legend, but at the same time Zamazenta is such a big threat for Two Bloober. Yeah.
agreed. Yeah, I always really only look at form and stuff when I'm like, oh, these two teams are really, really competitive with each other. And yeah, I do agree. I think it's it's so easy for Zamazenta to like set up and kind of just run away with the game. I feel so. Yeah, I'll give it to Two Bloober as well.
Two Bloober also has a little bit more pressure on him as he's currently in 8th place, so he's really looking for a win so he can, have a better shot of making playoffs because he's
Yeah,
barely making the cut right now.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think depending on the player, right? That could be maybe that's something that will like push him forward, or maybe he may choke under the pressure, right? But yeah, I agree. I think Two Bloober has it here, just with the power of Zamazenta and a few of his other mons that he's gonna bring.
All right, our final matchup is Lord Arcanum versus Truck Judd. We will not be covering Brit Bellina versus Carp Cranium because they already played at the time of recording this. But Lord Arcanum's Terras are Armarouge with Psychic, Grass, and Fairy, and Rampardos with Rock, Flying, and Grass. And then Truck Judd has Comfey with Fairy, Steel, Ground, and Crocolore with Fire, Water, and Fairy.
Man, there's some good games this week. Once again, both players very similar in the standings. Um, yeah, I'm just looking at teams now.
Comfy is a threat with Terra
He's a
Ground this
monster.
week. Holy shit. The only two
Yeah,
resists to Fairy that Lord Arcanum have are Iron Crown and Armarouge, and both of those are hit by fucking Terra Blast Ground. And if
yeah,
Armarouge Terras, then it no longer resists. So A Calm Mind Comfy looks super threatening this week, especially because it don't matter if Sneasler has Unburden or not, it's getting outsped.
Exactly. The priority with its ability is really huge here. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Comfy gets a 1 or 2 turns to set up, and then yeah, it's looking really dangerous here. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's so insane that like nothing on this team resists it. That's wild.
And I feel like it gets a few different opportunities to set up Calm Minds. You know, if that's like a choice specs, Dragapult that clicks Draco, free Calm Mind. If Indeed's out, you probably get a free Calm Mind. If Sylveon's out, you pretty much get a free Calm Mind because the SPDF, so it's not gonna do nothing this week, that's for sure. It's gonna be a game of Arcanum trying not to let it set up.
Actually, question here. How does Psychic Terrain interact with Comfey? Doesn't it prevent priority moves?
That's a good question. I have no fucking idea.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah,
I couldn't tell you. Someone let us know, because that could be a factor, but either way, Indeedee gets threatened pretty easily too this week by like Meowscarada. So, but I mean that is something to consider. That I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, have to see how that works.
Yeah, I'm very interested as well with that. But yeah, going off Meowscarada, it is fast. Unfortunately, Dragon Bolt is also really, really fast. But it may, force his hand to maybe run like something suboptimal, like a choice scarf on it or something. Predicting that Meowscarada will also run something that will, allow it to outspeed. And I assume some dark type move from it, probably one-shot Dragapult. Once again, haven't run a calcs for it, but seems threatening nonetheless. And like you said, with Indeedee, threatening. Armarouge, assuming it's not Terrid, threatening. Donphan, threatened by it. I just see it as it runs. If it runs triple axle, you got even more stuff against like maybe Shiftry,
Zapdos,
and the likes. Yeah, I definitely see it.
Crocalor does a pretty good job of shutting down Sneasler this week too.
Yeah, I can set up a burn or something on it. That would be big. And obviously Swords Dance with Unaware.
Yeah.
I was about to say Unburden because of Sneasler. But yeah, Unaware would definitely hinder its potential for sure. Yeah, I think it's a really good inclusion. I find it unlikely this is the case, but maybe if he runs like physical attacking Dragapult, it'd be something there. Galarian Zapdos, physical attacker. Rampardos is honestly a big one.
Gotta be careful of Flame Body on Talonflame with all these physical attackers too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be pretty good in that sense as well.
Depending on how the triage works with Psychic Terrain, I think Truck Judd has a really good matchup this week. Even if triage doesn't work in Terrain, I still think the matchup is in Truck Judd's favor.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he has enough threats against kind of the top mons on his team that would probably carry him through. I agree with that as well. But yeah, someone in the comments of the video, let us know how Comfey plus Psychic Terrain works, because I have no idea.
Yeah, that'll be nice to know. I want to use Comfey in the future as well, so I'll need to know eventually.
I used him in Gen 6. Pretty strong mon for sure.
He didn't exist in Gen 6, so that's
why. Or not Gen 6, Gen 7, right? Was that what you needed?
Yeah, it was Gen 7.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
Speaking of Gen 6, Legends, ZA.
Dude, it's time. I'm excited. I just wanted a good Pokemon game, man. I know a lot of people may disagree, but I've been underwhelmed by some of the recent ones, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're just like a nostalgic for the old games, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the last few, to be honest.
I don't have many complaints about the recent ones per se. But I definitely was going into this Nintendo Direct being like, I'm not buying the next game. Like, if it's a Let's Go game, I'm going to sell my Switch because that's how much I hate Let's Go games. And then I'm just nervous for Black and White remakes because of how bad BDSP was.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, 100%.
This was a pleasant surprise. And honestly, the fact that they're bringing back Megas, and if they don't put in new Megas, it's an absolute sell from Game Freak.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
The only other thing I can say is I really hope that they don't have the old Legend battling mechanics. I hope that it's current day mechanics so that we can actually like use the stuff instead of waiting a year to use Sneasler and all of the other Hisuian. That was annoying the first time around, I won't lie. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah,
for me, I agree. I hope it's more so kind of like a revamped Legends game, right? Because that, like you said, just the big battle mechanics of the original really turned me off from the original. Great game, great idea, but I just really was frustrated at that aspect. So yeah, if they remove that, that'd be awesome.
And the fact that it's coming out next year gives me hope.
Yeah, because they're gonna have time. Yep. They're gonna have time to fix it. So yeah, hopefully that's the case. And if so, I may be buying my first Pokemon game in a while. But I will say, I've been pretty happy with, all things considering, with competitive in the past 2 years. It's just the actual games I haven't really been a huge fan of. But yeah, hopefully the Mega Evolution keeps balance.
I absolutely agree. But yeah, that is the Week 6 Pickems for the VDL Shaymin division. If you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe, and best of luck to everyone. We will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.